welcome back to the show. This is Everything Under the Sun. My name is Ty, and today we were supposed to be talking about expectations. Well, this episode was supposed to be about expectations, so I hope you didn't expect that because this is not going to be about expectations, and I'm sure you can tell by the title that I'm not going to be speaking about expectations today. So I'm not sure if many of you have noticed or even cared that the in the beginning of the past few episodes I haven't listed any of the topics, like the new topics that are going to the box, and that's because I haven't put any new topics inside of the box. I mean, I've just been kind of like writing them down, and instead of actually adding them to the box, I just like keep forgetting, and I keep forgetting to announce the new ones every week. So in lieu of that, I'm actually going to not only list some of the new topics that are being added to the box, but I'm also going to talk about the topics that are inside the box. So anyone that wants to send topics in or any ideas in of what they may want to hear or have spoken about, this is just kind of an idea for you as far as just hearing what topics are already going to be in there so you don't have to repeat them. So if there's something that you like, then you can add that in there. If something that I say, like a topic that I say that you feel as though maybe another topic goes with it, or if I'd be speaking about that in that topic, you can definitely email me about that as well. Yeah, so this is just kind of like food for thought for me as well, because as I was going through the box, because basically what I had to do, I had to take all of the topics from the box and kind of open them up because I forgot exactly what was in the box anyway. So those are going to be explained so that we know what's in the box, and then again, what's going to be added to the box. So, because I have gotten some doubles, some people saying different topics that maybe are already in the box, or things that are going into the box, or things that I thought were in the box that aren't in the box. So this is, again, just going to be an episode about that. So yeah, I hope y'all didn't expect an episode on expectations. I feel like there's just a lot of things that are changing right now. There's change in the air. It's happening on a global scale. It's happening within all of us. Constantly change is happening within all of us. But I'm, yeah, there's definitely a lot happening in my life personally, and I feel as though friends that I've spoken to and just different situations, there's a lot coming up for people right now, and I'm going to speak more about that in a little bit because I'm going to speak about one of the topics that are going to be discussed, and it kind of goes into that idea. But yeah, there's so much change happening. This past weekend was it was actually a really, really good weekend for me. I ended up camping, well, like taking an Airbnb along the Trinity River, which is in Northern California. It's a little east of where I live now, but it's in the mountains still, and it's a beautiful area. Had no phone service, so it was nice to kind of get away and just unwind, and just hear the sounds of nature and the river, and it was really amazing and refreshing and much needed time away. And yeah, but just during that time, there's just like a lot of reflection that's happening. There's so much change that's happening, and it's kind of scary, there's a lot of fear that's within it, and it's like a fear of the unknown. It's like I don't know what this next move is going to make. I don't know what this next move is going to do for my life, or what I'm going to be doing, even just down the line. Like, what does it mean? And I was reflecting on this a lot, just like this uncertainty of this unknown, and like this aversiveness towards moving towards it. But the thing that I always go back to is that if we are stuck in a position of not knowing where to go next, or how to deal with this feeling that we're having, we can only go off of what we know. And what we know is that, okay, we can't determine what's going to come next. We can't know what's going to come next, but we can reflect on our own experiences and on our own past experiences, the things that we do know. And something that we do know is that, we've been afraid before. We've been uncertain about that next step and what that's going to do for us. And yet we're here today. Whatever those consequences and actions may have brought, we're here today. We're alive. We're able to think and be responsive and go through different situations where we may come across other uncertainty. But at the end of the day, we're still here. And that kind of just gives me confidence, where a lot of that uncertainty comes from, like, I guess, what will it bring? Will it cause me, unhappiness, or will it cause me, pain or suffering or struggling in some kind of way? And I've been through all of that. I've been through all of that in different situations because of the decisions that I've made, and I'm still here today. So that's kind of what I keep going back to. And although the next few months are going to be, very different, it's going to be a lot of change happening. And I mean, for all of us, there's so much change happening. But the best thing that we can do is reflect on our past experiences and kind of ease ourselves down by saying, like, I've been here before, and I haven't been in this exact situation before, but I've had this feeling before. This feeling isn't uncommon for me, and that's why I'm able to identify it. Like it's a fear. It's a fear of uncertainty, and we can only identify these things because we felt them before. So let your feelings tell you those things. Let your feelings be that voice that tells you, I've felt this before. This is something similar than what I've experienced. So how do I deal with that, and how do I use that? Because it's not meant to just plague us, like I spoke about in a previous episode, how our feelings aren't necessarily meant to just cause us to be in pain, like although pain is a result of many of the emotions that we have, it's not what they're there for. It's not to just like cause us misery in our lives. It's meant to tell us certain things and to teach us certain things, and what those things mean for us as we take our next step forward. So when we come across this idea of uncertainty and change, because change is happening again inevitably, but right now there's a lot of change that's happening within the world and within ourselves, and we have to take notice of that, and we have to understand those things, because that's when we gain more security within ourselves and our own decisions to take that next step forward and continue living our lives, because we can't live our lives in fear of doing something that may cause us discomfort, because as you reflect on your past experiences, that discomfort, that pain, that struggling, that time that you got knocked down and got back up, all of those challenges, those are what builds your character. That's what builds your resolve. That's what builds the strength within you that will get you to that next level, will get you to that next step, and will move you through that next situation. So that's kind of just like my thoughts as I've been thinking about this, and the feelings that are coming up within me. And again, like I said in the last episode, as I speak about these topics and I speak about these things, these are all things that I'm still working on myself. And it's a lifelong process. Most of these things are lifelong processes, and that's why they mean so much to us, because we're going to constantly deal with them. And that is something that cause them to be topics that we need to discuss, because how else can we live our lives without speaking about these very things that are causing us to feel certain things, or be pushed in certain directions, or to move in certain ways. And I think that that's kind of why these are so important to speak about, and to speak about with each other, and to speak about with family and friends, and to just support each other as we go through these things. So anyway, I'm just going to go into this, because there are a lot of great topics here. And again, if y'all want to send any topics in, you can send them to everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com. You can send me a text message if you have my number. You can shoot me messages on DMs through social media if you want to. And I mean, all of it's great. But these are the topics that are in the box, and then I'm going to go into the topics that are going to be added to the box. And I will make sure to remember to actually put them in the box this time, because that is something I guess I need to start remembering more. So, to start off, the first topic is time. Time is going to be a topic that we're going to speak about, and time, I think, is something really just crazy amazing, because it's not only just like sequential time, but also like, like what is time? Like it's kind of like something that blows my mind. And again, some of these topics that I'm going to speak about, I have no idea where I'm going to go with them. Some of these topics are actually really hard to discuss. I think they're like really heavy topics, and I mean, as I was pulling them out of the box, some of these topics did like surprise me. I was like, oh shit, I forgot like that was in there. But so these are going to be topics that are very difficult to discuss, and as I've realized like the discomfort around them, or the uncertainty around the words to speak around these topics, the more I realize that they need to be spoken about, because we shouldn't not find the words to speak about difficult topics, because then they're just going to not get spoken about. So that's just my thoughts. So time, that's going to be a great topic. Judgment is going to be another topic, and I mean, there's so much judgment going about, where we judge others, we judge situations, we judge ourselves, and it pervades so many different avenues of our lives. So judgment is going to be a great topic that we're going to discuss soon. Seasons is a topic that was actually given to me by my roommate. I remember when he gave me this topic, and it's it's not just the seasons of like fall, winter, spring, and summer. It's kind of the seasons we have within ourselves, like the the different ebbs and flows we have within our own lives, and what that means for us. Because again, like just like as I spoke in the beginning, we come back to situations that we've been in before, whether it's not, whether it's like the same situation or whether it's a different situation that just has a similar feeling. But like these things come up and we can start recognizing these patterns within ourselves. But what do we do about that? How do we deal with that? And what do we do once we recognize that we're in this certain season, to speak like within our lives, and how do we move forward within that? Because a lot of times these seasons are lulls, times that we feel stuck, times that we feel like we can't move in a certain way, like whether it's moving in progression or moving even out of bed. So seasons, that's going to be a great topic. Forgiveness is going to be another topic that's going to be spoken about, and that is one of the hardest things that any of us can do many times, is to forgive, because forgiveness means that there's someone that's caused us harm in some kind of way, some kind of pain in some kind of way. And pain is it's a strong feeling, especially physical pain. It is accompanied by emotional pain. Emotional pain is accompanied by just like deep feelings of, sadness and depression, anxiety, and there's so much that can come around that. So forgiveness is something that can release a lot of those things. But how do we get to that point to forgive, especially when there are things that, like seem unforgivable? So forgiveness is going to be a really great topic to speak about. Family is another one that was given to me by my grandmother. Actually, I remember my Nana gave me that one, and it was actually it was after the social obligations episode, and she brought up a very good point just about how there are obligations outside of us that seem a little more bound to us, like family. We feel as though we're bound in certain situations to connect with family in a certain way, even if that connection isn't given back in some kind of ways, or just playing a certain role within a family that maybe you don't identify with. So family, like the circumstances that are within those families, the obligations that we have within those families, and just the structures of families themselves. What does it mean to be a family, and what does that look like for different people? So family is going to be a great topic. Movies, television, and streaming media. So this is like the content that we love to attach ourselves to, love to bring our attention to, and for different reasons. And I think that the way that we, just like music, just like any type of media and creation, there are reasons that we're drawn to it, reasons of, like passions within us, things that we are motivated towards, things that we're interested in, things that like spark that magic within our own minds of just like, wow, this is like really amazing. So for different reasons and different genres and modalities, we find those connections, and that's going to be just an amazing topic, because I love movies, televisions, and streaming media. And it's I don't watch television too much actually, but movies and streaming media are a big thing for me, even though I don't get to watch it that much. But I've always loved kind of the cinematic genre of entertainment, and yeah, I think that'll be a great topic. That'll be, I think, a little more fun topic for us to kind of speak about. So yeah, there's that. Self-care is going to be another topic, a huge topic. Like, self-care is so important, and we see so many memes and statuses and things that speak about self-care. But what is self-care? Like, what does that mean, and what does it mean for you? Because it's going to be something so different for everyone. But why is it so important, and why are we seeing so many memes? Why are we seeing so many statuses that speak about self-care, and how do we start implementing that into our lives? So self-care is going to be an amazing topic that I'm really excited to speak about, because again, when I speak about these topics, I get some ideas for myself. I get some inspiration within myself to start doing these things for myself. So it's always great to talk about it, even if you're talking about it with friends and family, because as you speak more about it, you start instilling that motivation within yourself. You start kind of teaching yourself in a way to start getting into that mindset. And it's kind of like that idea of when you are trying to learn something, you teach it to others, you teach that information to others, and then that actually helps you to learn the information more. It's kind of in that same way, as we speak about these things and topics to different people, we start having more realizations. Have you ever had a deep conversation with someone, like whether you were drunk or just like, hanging out with someone that you were really close with, and as you're speaking, you just get like this realization just overcomes you, and now you're like, holy shit, I understand a different level of this that I didn't understand before, or I understand more than I did before I started speaking about it. And I don't know, I think it's just something amazing, and I feel like I'm doing a really bad job of explaining it, but speaking about these things also just helps to instill more things within yourself. So self-care, I'm really excited to speak about that. Another topic, spirituality. That is such a vast topic, because what is spirituality? And as I've like grown to kind of like investigate that idea more, it's come to the realization that spirituality is just so massive and so huge, and it's it's really just, it's something I think fascinating to speak about. So I'm very excited to speak about that and everything that entails. I feel like that's going to be a very long episode, and I'm not sure if I'm going to have a guest on that one or not, but I feel as though like it'll be a good conversation for a lot of us to speak about. So yeah, there's that, spirituality. Herbal remedies is going to be another topic, and this is something that I guess like in this time where we're speaking about just different alternatives to medications and things like that, as we see pharmaceuticals causing so many just like lasting impacts for individuals. I mean, I've taken psychopharmacology classes, and I've understood like the influence of medications and as it relates to the human body and the mind, and what it does for us, and again like the efficacy of a lot of those medications that we have. And it does raise the question of just, are there different alternatives that we can be looking at, or alternatives that we know of that aren't really popular because they're more abundant, and as they're more abundant, they're going to be not really profitable to make off of. So there's definitely money in pharmaceuticals, but also learning about medications, we know that there are individuals that are in critical states where that medication is necessary to just live in a functional way within their own lives. So there's definitely a back and forth with that, but herbal remedies is going to be a different kind of perspective on alternatives to medications that maybe we can start implementing, or things that are out there that have been studied and implemented. I mean, there's so much research being done on things, and unfortunately not enough, but still, I think it'd be a great topic to speak about. Another topic, toxic positivity. That is something that I think is like, I think it's a really great topic, just because there are different people in different states, different like states of mind, not different. Well, I mean, there are people in different states in the world, but different states of mind. And I think that that's something that is important to keep in mind as we try to spread joy and positivity to others. We kind of have to like take a step back and ask ourselves, how much of this are we actually doing, and is it something that's actually doing more harm than good? And I think that's the biggest question, because any type of action that we make to try to ameliorate a situation, we have to think about like, is this causing more harm than good? I don't know. There's a lot of that I have to like look up more into, just like with toxic positivity, but the idea of it seems very relevant in this place that we are. So that's going to be a great topic. Another topic, religion. This is something that is ingrained in many of us. There have been wars started because of religion. There have been hatred and negativity. There's been growth and amazing understanding in different aspects of religion. And there are so many people that believe different things. I mean, I know I was raised in a certain religion, and I know that, like my ideas of religion have changed over time. And I think that it's going to be an amazing topic to speak about. And I think it's going to be really important to speak about it too, just in the aspect of the dynamics of different religions and maybe the places where they overlap, because I feel like a lot of times there are messages that are being left to obscurity when a lot of times they're overlapping, and it's meant to be understood in that way. So religion, that's going to be an interesting topic. It's probably going to be a long topic. I'm not really sure how I'm going to deal with that or go with that without offending people, but I think I'm pretty good at not offending people. So religion, that's going to be a good one. Influence is going to be another topic. Influence is, I think it's going to be a great topic, because a lot of us have influence in a lot of ways, and a lot of us are influenced in a lot of ways. And I think the moment that we understand the influence that we have over others, as well as the influence others have over us, the more we can control those situations, because we don't want to be just moved about like some kind of piece in a game. We want to have intention towards the ways that we're being influenced by others, because all influence isn't bad. Surround yourself by people that are smarter than you, more talented than you, the things that like you wish to aspire to, or you're being influenced by them in a more positive way. But you don't want to be influenced by others in a way that's going to bring you down, and you don't want to influence others in a way that's going to bring them down. And if you have influence, utilize it in a meaningful way. So influence, I think, is going to be a great topic as well that's going to be spoken about. So another topic is art, and this is like just art in the sense of like painting, drawing, sculpting, these arts like of creation. I've always been fascinated and so much admiration for individuals that are artists, because I've always wondered just like, how do you just create that? Like I remember actually asking these artists, it was like at a festival, it was at the Oregon Eclipse Festival like a couple years back, and I asked this artist, because they had a huge art display area where people were just making art and creating art. And I remember asking this artist, like, how do you come up with these things? Like, do you just see this in your mind? Like this, it was this elaborate mural that they had created, and I was curious. I'm like, do artists see the entire image before it's done, or do they just like like start making lines and like it's just created? And basically their answer was kind of like both, where they have like a skeleton of like what they want to create, and as they're creating it, it kind of begins to transform itself. And I think there's so many correlations to just life in general as we think about art and creation in that way. So I think that's going to be a really amazing topic as well, and something probably that's going to instill some inspiration in me to start getting back into trying to be artistic in different ways. It's really great for you, like you're using a different part of your brain, and it can be really relieving. I know some people that do those mandalas, like the meditative mandalas, where you just kind of like color them in. It's really really meditative. You'd be surprised. So check that out. You can actually Google it, mandalas online. I think you can probably do them online as well, but it's probably not as meditative as getting some crayons out or some color pencils and going on a printout and coloring in some stuff. And it's really great. You can do it for like 5-10 minutes, and it's really meditative. So anyway, art is going to be a great topic. Hobbies is another topic, and I mean, art goes right into that. But hobbies are so important because I think they speak to a lot of who we are, and the interests that we have. And I think that it's important to have hobbies. It's not necessary to have hobbies, because I think that just until recently, I haven't had any hobbies. I used to be asked by people, what are like hobbies of yours? And I'm terrible with conversation, because I just never had hobbies. Like people would say, what do you like doing? And I'm like, well, I like listening to music and hanging out with people. And that was about the gist of the conversation. So I and something that made me realize that I didn't have hobbies was when someone asked me, they were like, have you ever had something where you were just fully enmeshed in it? Something that like you're doing it, and then like hours pass and you didn't even realize hours passed, or like it's like just something where it's like you get so wrapped up in it that it's kind of like you're removed from like the outside world in some kind of way. Even if you're engaging the outside world, you're like removed from just like the outside things, and you're just like focused on this one thing. And I've definitely been focused on certain things, but I've never had a hobby to where like that focus was continual. It was something that I enjoyed doing. It was something that kind of brought me better understanding of myself. Like, so I think hobbies are really good for that, and it's something that I think, yeah, I think it's going to be a great topic to speak about. So another topic is going to be drugs and alcohol, and that's going to be a big topic. I mean, alcohol is a drug, I guess, so it could have just been like an episode on drugs. So yeah, I mean, it's so influential in all of our lives, and some things I don't even consider to be drugs necessarily, but they are considered drugs as far as like legal standpoints and things like that in different areas and different parts of the world. So I'm going to speak about drugs and alcohol, and some of these topics, they're I think they're good topics because they're things that, again, all of us have to deal with. There are things that are in the lives of all of us in some kind of way, shape, or form. And I think when something is that pervasive in our lives, we need to pay attention to it. I think it's kind of like the sky being blue, and not recognizing that. It's like it's kind of where it's something that obvious, where it's like it's so blatant, it's so oblivious, it's something that's always there. Why aren't we talking about it? That's where I think a lot of these topics kind of come in to, as far as my feeling of them being significant in different ways. And of course, like, I guess we can talk about literally anything, but there are some topics that I think are just like so crucial, just like who we are, because like we create these things, we make these things, we do these things, we're involved in these things, we feel these things, so they're very important to speak about. So drugs and alcohol, it's going to be a great topic. Okay, so another topic is going to be astrology, and I think that's going to be like a really great topic. I think I've mentioned this before, like when astrology had first popped up, just about how I didn't really believe too much. I was back and forth with believing in astrology on different levels, and there were definitely experiences that I've had that have like caused a serious change in that, or a change in me wanting to investigate it more. I've definitely wanted to investigate just like the idea of astrology a lot more. And I spoke about just in the beginning this idea of change, and apparently I've just been looking into astrology a bit more recently. And apparently right now, for any of you people that do listen to, like, know about astrology, this is the age of Aquarius, apparently. And during the age of Aquarius, it's supposed to be in like a time lasting like 2,000 years or something like that. But during this time, it's supposed to be radical change against like a lot of these things that we've started building foundations upon outside of us and within ourselves. And that's causing like the feelings that we're having within ourselves to start, like that discomfort that we're having. Like we maybe are thinking things that we're like, does this serve me anymore in my life? Do I need this anymore? And we're starting to see this externally as well, like with physical action against different systems that we've created within our lives. So apparently this age of Aquarius is supposed to be something that is just supposed to cause radical change, so that we start moving towards this more abundant and plentiful and positive future for ourselves. And I mean, I don't think it's going to take, I mean, we're not going to live 2,000 years, all of us. So it's going to be obviously like things and change that's happening within our own lifetimes, as well as, like the lifetimes of, this entire age of Aquarius or whatever. So anyway, astrology is really interesting as I'm starting to look at those things and realize different correlations of things happening in the stars and how they start influencing our lives within ourselves and the world around us. It seems like it's really kind of a lot there. So that's going to be an interesting topic to speak about. Finding purpose. When I picked this one out of the box, I was like, holy shit, like that was actually a topic, but this is going to be a very difficult topic to speak about, because finding purpose, isn't that something that we're all looking for? Isn't that something that we're all striving for in some kind of way? And even if we feel like we've reached the place that we wanted to be, that place that we thought we'd have purpose, I don't think that in that moment we even feel as though we've achieved that yet. We can feel accomplished in our goals and the places that we've gotten, but I think that finding purpose is something that's so much more lifelong, something that's like something that we're moving towards. So that's going to be a really interesting topic, and one that I am going to have to put a lot of thought into, because it's something big, and I think that it's a culmination of a lot of these things that we've spoken about in this podcast. It's finding purpose, because finding purpose is finding meaning in different things, and as we break down the different segments of our lives, we slowly start finding more meaning, and maybe that helps us to find purpose. I don't know, but that's going to be a great topic to speak about. Another topic that was in the box already, and the last topic that was in the box, it was beauty. And again, these were in no particular order. I just kind of picked them out. But beauty is another thing where it's like, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I think that that's something that holds true in so many different situations. There have been sights of nature that I've seen that have like caused tears to well up in my eyes because of the sheer beauty of it. And someone else, sitting next to me sees that same sight, and it's just like, okay, yeah, like this is nice. I'll take a picture of it. But it's like it's different in different ways, and beauty on different levels of how we understand it, and also just like the beauty that we feel within ourselves. And I think beauty is something that's not necessarily just physical. I think that there's beauty in different things, and I think that as we dissect the idea of beauty, we can understand more of just how beautiful we are, because we are all very beautiful people, but we just have to understand what that beauty means for us and what beauty means for us in general. Because when we redefine beauty, I think that's when we redefine ourselves. So those were the topics that were in the box. So the new topics that are going to be added to the box, and I'm going to make sure to actually remember to put these topics in the box, are some really great topics as well. So first, going to start off space. I think I've spoken about this. I thought space was already in the box. So space, I mean, just like that vast everything that's outside of the planet Earth, and just like what is that, because I think that sense of wonder is something that's so part of us. And even if we choose not to think about it, I think part of us chooses not to think about it because it's so vast, that life in itself is so big and this world is so big that, like sometimes we're like, okay, I'm just going to stick to what's right in front of me, and like that's going to be that. But I think as any of us start thinking about just like the vastness and the abundance of just everything that's outside of this planet Earth, I mean, like we're floating in the abyss of space right now on Earth, in our houses, thinking that we're secure and safe. I mean, we are as much as possible, but we're literally in like a chaotic universe full of just like change and vastness and emptiness and abundance at the same time. So space is going to be a really amazing topic, and what all is out there. There's so much that we don't know, and it's really just fascinating to me. Another topic is death. I thought this was in the box as well. Death is something that we all have to deal with it. We all have to go through it at some point in our lives. And it's something that we need to speak about, because with it being a certainty, we have to speak about it. That's just like point blank about that situation. Because if we don't speak about death, like this thing that so many people are turning away from, so many people are fearful of, if we don't have these conversations, we can never start building comfort with the idea of death. And we have to build comfort with it. Otherwise, like, we're going to live our lives in fear of this thing that is certain. So we need to have these conversations. So I think that's going to be a great conversation. I'm not sure how I'm going to speak about death, because death is a very sensitive topic. It's a very tough topic, but again, it's one that we have to speak about. It just cannot be avoided. So there's that, death. Resilience, and this wasn't even intentional, but it's surprising that these two were next to each other. But resilience, and I think that that's something that, like, we do have to face. I mean, like, we do have to experience as we experience death, like, so we're not going to speak about death right now, but resilience is just this idea of kind of like persevering despite adversity. You fall down and you get back up, that's resilience. That's continuing on when others, may not, or continuing on when a situation is trying to put you down. And I think that's the strength that all of us have within us, and there's resilience in so many different situations. And I think that as we start acknowledging the strengths that we have in these different situations, we can start building that and culminating that to a larger strength to help us become more resilient in more serious situations and harder situations, because that resilience is what has allowed humanity to last until now. It allows any species to last until now. It's like resilience is that idea of just continuing to persevere and continuing to move forward and continuing to live, and that is something so necessary for life, to continue living. So resilience is going to be a great topic. Another topic is going to be holistic health, and that is a little different than, I used to think holistic health and like herbal things were one and the same, but I have a friend that recently started doing holistic health and studying holistic health and starting a program for holistic health, and I've realized that holistic health is a lot more, and it's only been like 2 or 3 weeks doing the program, and just from hearing what she's had to speak about and things that like I guess like I've started thinking about as it comes to this topic, I've realized that holistic health is like, it's so much more vast than just like, herbs and spices and things like that. It's, the interaction of many things and like just our body and mind and the things that we do. So that is going to be a great topic to speak about. I'm probably going to have a guest on the show to help speak about that, because again, holistic health it's something that like I don't really know too much about. It's not like my domain of expertise in any kind of way. So having an extra set of words and another mind that's acclimated towards that is going to be a lot better. So holistic health is going to be a great topic to speak about. Another topic, discrimination, race, religious orientation. Discrimination is so vast and it happens in so many different domains, and it's something that we need to speak about because I think a lot of times we can also not recognize when we have underlying discriminations or things that like cause us to see the world or see people in different ways. And I think that that's something that is so important for us to speak about because otherwise, again, we're just going to go blind to it if we don't speak about it. So discrimination is going to be an amazing topic to speak about. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Change. This is a topic that, I mean, I've said the word change so many times. You can probably create a drinking game and not make it through 5 episodes without being completely smashed because I'm always talking about change. Change is like, it's something so necessary, it's something so constant, something that we are all dealing with, and it's something that we need to speak about because some of us are so resistant to change. And how are you going to be resistant to the tide? You can't be resistant to something that's constantly flowing, something that's constantly moving. Change is happening. We have to talk about it. So that's going to be an amazing topic. Another topic, magic. I think I've always been fascinated with magic. I mean, like, just the idea of it. And I mean, maybe Disney had something to play with it where it's like, if you dream, you believe, or if you dream, you can achieve. And I've always liked folklore and things like that, learning about like witches and scribes and, eating the heart of a dragon to gain like crazy powers and shit like that. It's really crazy, but I think the idea of magic actually goes into something so much deeper, and I think a lot of places that many of us don't even recognize. So I think that's going to be an amazing topic. I'll get to do some more research and learn a bit more myself and kind of just share some of that because I think it's all very interesting. And again, all these things of this world are part of us in some kind of way, in some way, shape, or form. So that's going to be an interesting little topic, and I think it'll be a fun topic to speak about. So another topic is technology, and that is something that it seems like somewhat unavoidable. It's like we are in this age now where there's this documentary. I'm not sure if it's still on Netflix, but it's called The Transcendent Man, and it's not Transcendence with Johnny Depp, but it's called The Transcendent Man, and it's a documentary that speaks about this idea of singularity. And I'm not going to go into it now because that's going to be for the technology episode, but essentially this idea of singularity is that we are in the stage where technology is growing so exponentially that unless humans start to integrate within technology, like nanite technology, like nanorobotics and shit like that, then where technology is going to surpass humanity, and that's going to be kind of that where it's like the idea of like that whole idea of androids and artificial intelligence taking over the world and killing off humanity type of thing. But that's that's all we have now is cell phones and ATMs that talk to you or something. But technology, it's we're in the age of expansion and growth, and so many things are happening, so many people are having ideas and creating new things, and it's going to do a lot in our lives, for better or for worse. So that's going to be a great topic. Habits is going to be another topic that's going to be spoken about, and these are just like the habits that we have. We're habitual people. Like sometimes we fall into different habits, but what are the habits that we're falling into that are beneficial for us, and what are the ones that are causing us detriments in our lives, the ones that are constantly happening, and we're asking ourselves, why do I keep doing this? Why is this still something that's in my life? Why am I continuing to do this despite knowing that this is the very thing that's holding me back? And I think in those moments when we're doing something that we also consciously are aware that it's not serving us, that is where we learn the most. And it can be so confusing, it can be so difficult to figure out, but that is where so much is happening because we're acting in a different way that we're consciously thinking of. And I think that is it's humanity, and it's human life. So it's going to be a great topic. So habits is great topic. Another topic is going to be language. I realize there's so many topics here. Another topic is going to be language. Language is, we're speaking it, you're listening to me, but there's a vast world out there with people speaking different languages, people using sign language, people using smoke signals and Morse code, and like just like what is language, and yeah, like what's language? It's something that seems to connect us in many ways, but also something that can divide us because the lack of knowing it. So language is fascinating, language is beautiful, and I think it's going to be a great topic to speak about. Another topic is stress. Stress, all of us deal with it. We're all stressed in different points of our lives. So what is the reason we have stress? Why is stress even something that's in our lives, and what are we supposed to take from these stressful situations? Because again, like our feelings, our emotions, the things that we're dealing with, they're not meant to just cause us misery. So what is stress, and why are we having it, and how do we ameliorate ourselves from it? How do we distance ourselves from this thing that is causing us mental problems, like, and physical problems, like, because the more stressed you are, negative hormones are released into your body, starts breaking down cells and causing organs to not work properly. So stress can definitely do a lot. So it's going to be a great topic. Creativity is going to be another topic, and I think that that is something that speaks to all of us. We're creative in different ways, whether it's creative in an artistic way, creative in a musical way, creative when the way that we see the world, the way that we see different things in our lives. I think that creativity is something that's very vast and something that I think we can all get on board with because it impacts us in some kind of way. So creativity is going to be a great topic. Happiness is going to be another topic, and I think that this is another topic that's going to be very difficult to speak about because what is happiness and how do we achieve happiness? Is happiness something that we're supposed to have for long term? Is something that we're supposed to just keep moving towards? Or is it something else? I don't know. Happiness, it's going to be a difficult topic. Another topic is going to be aging. Aging is happening. Aging is something that it's actually a very interesting topic because I'm going to get into it when we speak about it, but it's an interesting topic. And what do we think about age? Is it just a number? I mean, it is just a number, a number of years that you've been on this earth. Like, what is that quantifying? So I think that actually goes into time, the idea of time, which is kind of interesting. So aging is going to be an interesting one. And the last one that's going to be added to the box is choices/decisions. And we all make choices. We all have to make decisions. And what does that lead to? When does that start to impact us? There are a lot of times that we make choices or have to make decisions that we're not sure about. So how do we make that next step? How do we do that? And how do we have confidence in doing that? Because that's kind of where that lies, is like we sometimes make decisions and we're like, fuck, like I shouldn't have done that. Like, I mean, we should never actually regret things. I keep saying should and shouldn't, but regretting things isn't the way to go with things. But the more certainty that we have in a decision, the more we know about ourselves, and the more we know about why we're making a certain choice or decision, the more control we have over it. Where after that decision, whatever the outcome is, we can weigh the pros and cons and say, you know what, this was something that I expected. This was something that I knew may be an outcome, and I'm more confident in my decision, even if it didn't turn out the way I wanted to, because I consciously, there are more things I put into work when I made the decision for myself. So that's going to be an amazing topic. So I guess, again, just like a very, very quick rundown of the topics that are going to be spoken about, because this was a lot longer of an episode than I expected it to be. But these are the topics. So time, judgment, seasons, forgiveness, family, movies, television/streaming media, self-care, spirituality, herbal remedies, toxic positivity, religion, influence, art, hobbies, drugs and alcohol, astrology, finding purpose, beauty, space, death, resilience, holistic health, discrimination, change, magic, technology, habits, language, stress, creativity, happiness, aging, and choices/decisions. So those are the topics that are here. If you have any topics that aren't on this list, or topics that you feel like would add to the topics that are here, whatever you feel, or just your thoughts about what these topics are and like the list that's here. So you can email thoughts, suggestions, comments, or anything to everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com. You can go to the Facebook page and join that at Everything Under the Sun with Ty. You can go to the Instagram page and join that as well at Everything Under the Sun. Or you can join the Twitter page at Every Sun Podcast. Yep, so that's all. for this episode, and next episode will be expectations. So expect that or not, because you never know. Anyway, love you all, and I will see you next time.